But is it really a charity project at all? Is it just being used as a money-making scheme? Dodgy involvement from the disgraceful Duke. When they said Invictus is a scam, the veterans are being used for PR, privately funded faux trips with lavish accommodations and Meghan's merchandising schemes. That's not how charities work.
Harry blasted the guy's a hypocrite.
You know, my jaw dropped. 2 effing grifters. So
Prince Harry's ongoing descent into total madness has continued overnight.
We called these guys out for what many people saw as pure hypocrisy, and honestly, it was hard to believe what unfolded. What looked polished on the surface quickly started raising eyebrows. At the same time, Harry and Meghan enjoyed a luxury trip filled with applause, glowing headlines, and enthusiastic crowds. Everything appeared glamorous at first glance, but for many observers, something about the entire picture just didn't feel quite right. More people now seem to be looking beyond the polished image and asking tougher questions. When it comes to charitable funding, the system can be surprisingly complicated. The headline figures often don't clearly show how much support ultimately reaches veteran-focused organizations, and that has become a major point of discussion. A statement like 92% of funds raised go to charity certainly sounds reassuring, but without a detailed breakdown, it doesn't necessarily answer the questions many people are actually asking.
Why would there be so many redactions? Why would anything need to be honestly redacted? This is a charity form. Look at that whole page redacted around the budget. Like, excuse me? How does he allowed to get away with this? But look at this budget commercial blocked out.
And Harry and Meghan got a really nice vacation out of it with lots of adorational speeches and clapping and crowds gathered for them. So it was really odd, but I do think that people are starting to cotton on.
That's where curiosity starts to grow. Looking deeper into publicly released records, some sections are heavily redacted. Budget details, planning documents, and financial information are partially hidden, leaving important gaps that make it difficult to fully understand how everything fits together. Certain information is withheld under exemptions covering privacy or commercially sensitive material, which is a common practice in many official records. Even so, the result is often frustrating for anyone trying to follow the complete financial trail. The documents confirm that funds were spent, but they don't always explain every stage of where the money went. Rather than providing one clear picture, readers are left piecing together scattered fragments, making the overall process difficult to follow.
We, here in the United Kingdom, have committed £26 million. I mean, we are broke. We're broke. And what? He's got £4 million worth of sponsors. I mean, Paula, what else is he doing? Like, seriously, Harry, this is your full-time gig and you're asking the taxpayers for 26 mil and you've only been able to come up with 4 mil. It's a disaster. And this is a guy who claims that he's all about philanthropy and all about humanitarian causes. Well, he's not, because actually that's what you need to do. You need to drum up the money to do good work.
The discussion isn't necessarily about claiming funds disappeared. Instead, many people are focused on understanding the complicated path that funding takes. On paper, the Invictus Games operate with a budget of roughly $63 million. Reports indicate that around $30 million comes from public funding. That is a substantial amount, but it is important to understand that these funds are generally used across many parts of the event rather than being distributed directly to veterans. The money reportedly supports organizing bodies, venue operations, transportation, production, security, staffing, logistics, and promotional activities. Because the event is widely associated with supporting veterans, many members of the public naturally assume a much larger share goes directly toward veteran-focused programs. Although the event is regularly promoted as supporting veterans, publicly available financial reports indicate that direct grants to veteran organizations are far smaller than the overall operating budget. Figures cited in reports place those grants at around £200,000, creating a noticeable contrast with the tens of millions involved in running the event. Rather than a simple donation process, The funding appears to move through several organizations, operational budgets, and foundation accounts before reaching its intended purposes.
So, also, it doesn't pay for the veterans' transportation or insure them. I mean, what is this paying for?
The insurance thing is insane.
It is.
Insurance.
Lots of private jets, lots of camera crews, lots of security, a documentary, beautiful fashion, of course, from Meghan, 5-star hotels they stay in. I wonder, I mean, somebody is doing there's an audit being done on the $63 million right now. I think this is going to turn out very, very badly.
Since Prince Harry has become closely associated with the Invictus Games, these financial discussions often expand beyond accounting alone. They become conversations about governance, transparency, and whether the reporting provides enough clarity for the public. Documents have also reportedly shown the creation of a new senior executive position carrying a 6-figure salary, prompting additional debate over how organizational resources are prioritized. Another point attracting attention is the foundation's reported reserves, which have grown to approximately $2.3 million. For some observers, that raises questions about why those reserves continue increasing instead of being directed toward additional programs. Others note that maintaining financial reserves is common practice for large non-profit organizations to ensure long-term stability. Even so, the figures have fueled ongoing discussion about financial priorities and overall management. At the same time, Prince Harry has remained at the center of these conversations.
This is the very reason why everyone who originally worked on and set up Invictus no longer works there. Since leaving the royal fold, the foundation has become a cash cow for Harry and Meghan, and no doubt some others who are involved. It's all bubbling to the surface.
But people are a little upset about where the money is going, because right now there's been a 63% drop in actual grants to wounded warriors, despite the fact that they have more money in their bank than ever from carryover and in Vancouver.
While some supporters believe his continued involvement provides stability and international visibility, critics argue that stronger leadership or a fresh approach could help address growing concerns surrounding transparency and public confidence. Those different viewpoints continue to shape the wider debate surrounding the organization. Then, another development added even more attention to the story. Time magazine included Prince Harry in its new Time 100 Sports Edition, placing him at the top of the leaders category. The recognition described him as one of the most influential figures connected to sports in 2026 because of his work with the Invictus Games and its global impact. The announcement immediately sparked strong reactions online. Supporters viewed it as recognition of his efforts in creating an international event for wounded service members and veterans. Critics questioned whether the honor accurately reflected his influence within the sports world. As a result, the decision quickly became another topic of lively public debate, with opinions divided over whether the recognition was fully deserved or simply added another layer to an already controversial conversation. Would I trust him to lead the way?
So I think the public interest is waning. And also in this time of economic disparity, people really want to know where their money is going to. And there are lots of other places that actually support veterans, may give them prosthetics if they need, may build a wheelchair ramp at their home, which is necessary, may do things that really help people as opposed to helping Harry's ego.
But the term charitable activities includes the cost of running the games themselves, not direct grants or services to veterans. And the problem is that us here in the UK, us taxpayer fools, are committing funds to this. I can't believe this.
Not for a second. That's the opinion many critics continue to express, arguing that the recognition simply doesn't match the leadership they believe has been demonstrated. Some commentators even joke that he would struggle with the simplest leadership challenge, let alone guiding a major international organization. To them, Time magazine's decision felt completely out of step with reality and only fueled an already heated debate. Throughout these discussions, another name has continued to surface: Scott Snow, a seriously injured Special Forces veteran whose story has touched many people. While public attention focused heavily on Harry's latest recognition, Some observers felt veterans like Scott deserved far more of the spotlight. His journey reflects the very purpose many people associate with the Invictus Games. The Invictus Games were created to bring together wounded, injured, and sick service members and veterans through the power of sport. For countless competitors, the event represents far more than athletic competition. It offers renewed confidence, personal growth, recovery, and the opportunity to reconnect with others who understand similar experiences. Stories like Scott Snow's remind many supporters why the Games continue to matter, regardless of the public debates surrounding them.
I don't think a lot of veterans actually are devastated. The reality is, if you go deeper into Invictus, a lot of veterans are actually more upset, asking where all the money actually goes to.
There is something not sitting right with this charity. Charities that have something to hide should not be trusted, especially with so much NGO fraud being exposed in the last few years. That was never my understanding of what the Invictus Games was about. You know, if that's the case, why is Harry not competing himself? Because trust me, he's mentally scarred for a whole load of reasons, you know?
Some commentators have argued that moments of major publicity would be an ideal opportunity for more attention to be directed toward veterans themselves. Rather than focusing primarily on awards, headlines, or public recognition, they believe the spotlight should remain on individuals whose resilience reflects the mission of the Games. That perspective has become an increasingly common part of the wider conversation. Questions have also been raised about how public events are presented. Some critics believe large crowds and enthusiastic media coverage can sometimes create a bigger impression than what is happening across the wider event. Others disagree, pointing out that opening ceremonies naturally attract far more attention than individual competitions. As with many major international events, different people walk away with very different impressions. Beyond the public appearances, financial questions continue attracting significant attention. One of the most common topics raised is straightforward. When an international charity-related sporting event operates with tens of millions of dollars in funding, how much of that ultimately reaches veteran-focused organizations directly? That question has become one of the central issues discussed by supporters, critics, and commentators alike.
Crucially, that public money didn't flow directly to the Games. It was routed through the Vancouver Whistler Games Corporation, which then paid a licensing fee to the Invictus Games Foundation, the British charity that owns and licenses the Games brand. The amount of that licensing fee was oddly redacted. I sense a cover-up.
Rather than assuming wrongdoing, many simply want greater clarity about how funding moves through such a large and complex organization. Another discussion focuses on the origins of the Invictus Games. Prince Harry is widely recognized as the founder and the public face who helped launch the initiative. At the same time, many royal commentators and historians note that the project also benefited from extensive institutional support during its early years, including assistance from established royal organizations, experienced staff, and existing networks. Recognizing those contributions does not diminish Harry's involvement, but it does highlight that projects of this scale are rarely built by one individual alone.
And this is the same Prince Harry who was previously running and is now on the board of a charity called African Parks, which has been accused of the worst abuses of tribes in Africa. Now, that's not Harry doing that. The stuff is being alleged within that charity on his watch. Then you've got Invictus, which is losing sponsors, including Boeing, on his watch. Chaotic and bad stuff is happening on his watch. And in the corporate world, normally that's when you fall, you know, that the boss has to step down when bad stuff happens. But not Harry, of course. He's far too important for that.
Attention has also turned towards sponsorship and long-term funding. Earlier editions of the Games attracted support from numerous corporate partners alongside charitable contributions and public funding. Some observers have questioned whether changes in sponsorship could place greater reliance on taxpayer funding in the future. Others argue that government investment reflects the positive social impact the Games have on veterans and their families. Finding the right balance between public support and private sponsorship remains an important topic as future editions continue to be planned. As more information becomes available, one word keeps appearing throughout the conversation: transparency. Many people simply want clearer explanations about financial reporting, organizational decisions, and how resources are allocated. Greater openness, supporters argue, would strengthen public confidence while allowing the focus to remain on the athletes and veterans who inspire millions around the world. Meghan's role also continues to generate discussion, even though she is not involved in the day-to-day management of the Invictus Games. Because of her high public profile, alongside Prince Harry, her appearances naturally attract widespread media attention. Every public event, photograph, or headline brings another wave of coverage that extends well beyond the sporting competition itself.
Somehow this balloons from an event that cost $1 million the first year they did it to $63 million now. Harry has ballooned the budget from $1 million. It cost $1 million to do it with 400 people. It's now $63 million with an extra 140 people. What the
Legal fees jumped from £45,000 to £155,000 with no explanation given. Deferred income ballooned fourfold from £431,000 to £1.799 million. An American for-profit company called June's LLC, with no description of purpose, received nearly £30,000 in 2023 and nothing in 2024. And the same filing contains two different company registration numbers, one on the cover page, another on the balance sheet.
For supporters, that additional visibility helps shine a brighter light on the Games and the competitors. Critics, however, worry that celebrity coverage can sometimes overshadow the veterans whose stories are meant to remain at the heart of the event. This has led to a broader conversation about how public attention shifts over time. What begins as coverage of an international sporting event can gradually become dominated by discussions surrounding well-known public figures. Many people believe maintaining the original mission of celebrating veterans should always remain the highest priority, regardless of who attends or appears in front of the cameras. Looking ahead, the next Invictus Games are scheduled for Birmingham in 2027. Reports indicate that the UK government has committed up to £26 million in public funding to help support the event. That substantial investment has naturally prompted renewed public discussion about how taxpayer money is used and how large international sporting events should be financed.
Time magazine, which is an iconic magazine, has made a massive mistake. They fed the monster of Harry's ego and named him in their inaugural Time 100 sports list, placing him, wait for it folks, at the top of the leaders category. What were they thinking? Quite clearly, Time magazine have been infected with the MMV, the Meghan mind virus.
Another question frequently raised is whether the Invictus Games have grown into an organization capable of standing on its own. Supporters believe Prince Harry remains an essential part of the Games' identity and that his continued involvement helps maintain the emotional connection many participants feel. Others suggest the organization has matured into a global event, supported by governments, corporate partners, volunteers, organizers, and thousands of competitors, making it increasingly independent of any single public figure. Those differing viewpoints are likely to remain part of the conversation as preparations continue for future games. Whatever position people take, there appears to be broad agreement on one point: the athletes, veterans, and their inspiring journeys deserve to remain at the center of the story. Looking back across everything we've explored, it's clear that the discussion surrounding the Invictus Games reaches far beyond a single headline, one financial report, or one public appearance. What started as a conversation about funding gradually opens the door to much bigger questions about transparency, public confidence, leadership, and the future of one of the world's best-known sporting events for wounded, injured, and sick service members and veterans.
Prince Harry seemed to have left Scott Snow behind. Competed in 2023 Invictus in Dusseldorf. He was injured
He was in a wheelchair that did not have restraint straps. So basically defective hardware. It drives me crazy. I mean, Prince Harry founded these games. He's the public face of Invictus. And has anyone from his office bothered to reach out to you? Has anyone bothered to, from Invictus, after that initial meeting, bothered to reach out and say, hey, let's help out here?
I never heard from anybody, to be honest with you.
Throughout this story, we've looked at different viewpoints from supporters, critics, commentators, and members of the public. Some people believe the games continue to fulfill an incredibly important mission, bringing hope, recovery, and opportunity to thousands of competitors from around the world. Others believe that, as the organization grows larger and handles increasingly significant budgets, greater openness about finances and decision-making becomes even more important. Those two ideas don't necessarily conflict with each other. In fact, many people believe both can be true at the same time. One thing that continues appearing throughout this discussion is the importance of public trust. Whenever an international event receives substantial public funding, people naturally become interested in understanding how those resources are being used. That's not unusual, and it isn't unique to the Invictus Games. Large sporting events, charitable organizations, and publicly supported initiatives all face similar questions. People want confidence that resources are being managed responsibly, priorities remain clear, and the original mission stays at the center of every decision.
Harry, we are told, has been deafening in his silence whilst this guy is seriously ill. Special Forces veteran, whom Invictus chose to feature in its official Team Canada promotional video. So this guy's a big deal, right? He really, really matters. Scott Snow, a brave hero, somebody that's obviously had awful trauma as a result of war, because if you don't know, Invictus is a brilliant idea on paper. It's veterans, people that have fought in war or in a military context, and they've either got physical or mental injuries or both. And it's an amazing thing because what Invictus does, it gives them focus.
As future games continue to develop, transparency will likely remain one of the biggest topics people discuss. Clear reporting, accessible financial information, and straightforward communication can go a long way towards strengthening public confidence. Even when organizations follow all required regulations, providing additional clarity often helps answer questions before they grow into larger public debates. Another major theme running through this story is perception. Public perception can sometimes become just as influential as reality itself. A single photograph, a headline, an award, or a high-profile appearance can shape how millions of people view an organization almost overnight. Supporters may see those moments as positive exposure that expands awareness and attracts new audiences. Critics may interpret the very same moments differently, arguing that too much attention shifts toward well-known public figures instead of the competitors themselves. That difference in perspective has become part of the ongoing conversation surrounding the Invictus Games. Every major event attracts publicity, and publicity naturally brings different opinions.
What really bothered me was this is all a PR play.
It is such an honor to be here tonight, celebrating all of you and supporting my husband in the Invictus Games, which he founded.
Like, the audiences were basically shipped in to sit around Harry and Meghan to make it look as if it was a popular event, whereas actually there were just a handful of people watching most of the game.
Some believe recognizable public figures help shine a brighter spotlight on veterans and increase worldwide interest. Others hope the athletes themselves remain the clear focus, believing their journeys deserve the greatest attention. Both viewpoints continue to shape public discussion, and both are likely to remain part of the conversation for years to come. Funding will almost certainly remain another key issue moving forward. As we've discussed, hosting an international sporting event of this scale requires enormous planning, experienced staff, transportation, venues, accommodations, security, broadcasting, logistics, volunteers, medical support, and countless other moving parts operating behind the scenes. Those responsibilities require significant financial resources. The challenge, of course, is finding the right balance. Governments, charitable organizations, private sponsors, corporate partners, donors, and volunteers all contribute in different ways.
He went to Germany, competed, and here's what happened, folks. He was horrifically injured. And then the organization that used his story to sell the games stopped returning his messages.
Yes, well, you also know how he feels about it because during the court case with the Daily Mail, his past notes to a Daily Mail reporter were made public, and he was mocking and saying how much he hated going out and pressing the flesh, when frankly, buddy, that's what you're there for. He seems to think I'm doing the job I was born to do, but I don't know if he understands that job. And raising money is huge. And the job is not just showing up, having people take your photos and shake some hands.
Every source of funding brings its own expectations and responsibilities. Taxpayers naturally expect accountability for public spending. Sponsors want successful events that reflect positively on their brands. Charitable supporters hope their contributions help advance meaningful causes. Organizers must somehow balance all of these expectations while delivering a successful international competition. Looking toward Birmingham, those conversations are unlikely to disappear anytime soon. The city faces its own financial realities while preparing to welcome competitors from across the globe. Supporters believe hosting the games could generate lasting benefits through tourism, international attention, local investment, and community pride. Others continue asking whether public spending should be carefully weighed against other local priorities. Those discussions are completely understandable whenever major events are planned. Another factor people continue watching is sponsorship. Previous editions benefited from strong backing from numerous organizations and corporate partners. If future sponsorship levels change, organizers may need to adapt how events are funded while maintaining the same high standards competitors have come to expect.
The games were born more than a decade ago from a promise that I made to myself. A promise to uphold my obligation. A sacred obligation after my own decade and privilege of military service. To do whatever I could to help my fellow brothers and sisters heal, and to champion everything that we stand for.
That balancing act could become one of the defining challenges for future editions of the Games. Yet despite all the financial discussions, organizational questions, and public debate, it's worth remembering why the Invictus Games captured worldwide attention in the first place. It wasn't because of headlines. It wasn't because of awards. It wasn't because of publicity. It was because of the competitors. Every athlete who arrives carries a personal journey unlike anyone else's.
Don't you give him credit for the Invictus Games. The royal family started it with money William got from a lawsuit that William won. He donated money to start the Invictus Games. That's what people said in the comments. I don't know. Don't get mad at me if I'm wrong about that. And then they turned it over to Harry to give him something to do.
Behind every uniform is a story filled with determination, sacrifice, rehabilitation, setbacks, perseverance, and countless hours of hard work. Many competitors never imagined standing on an international stage again after the challenges they faced. Simply reaching the starting line often represents an extraordinary achievement all by itself. Those stories remain the true foundation of the Games. They remind audiences that resilience isn't measured only by medals. It's measured by refusing to give up, finding purpose after difficult experiences, supporting teammates, encouraging competitors, and continuing forward one step at a time. Those are the moments that inspire families, communities, and viewers around the world.
Here's Harry quoted in this embarrassing article in Time. I thought, wow, look at the power of sport. Look at how it's literally changing lives in front of my very eyes. He goes on to say, it was so clear to me, let's invite as many countries as possible to make it international, because clearly more countries need to benefit from this.
No financial report can fully capture that impact. No headline can completely summarize it. No public debate can erase it. That's why so many people continue supporting the event despite ongoing discussions surrounding funding and governance. They see something much larger than budgets alone. They see individuals rebuilding confidence, discovering new goals, and proving that determination can overcome incredible obstacles. At the same time, asking thoughtful questions about funding and transparency doesn't diminish that mission. Many supporters believe accountability and strong governance actually strengthen organizations over the long term. Public confidence grows when people understand how decisions are made and how resources are used. Those conversations don't have to compete with the mission, they can help protect it. As preparations continue for Birmingham and beyond, organizers will likely face important decisions about financing, sponsorship.
Boeing was the huge sponsor. The contract has ended and they are not re-signing. So Harry has to go to Birmingham this summer. He has to drum up some sort of business because at this point, A, it's just embarrassing. And B, yes, government funds are supposed to cover about half, but the other half are supposed to come from private companies and private individuals, and nobody's dropping a dime anymore.
Public engagement and future growth. Every edition of the Games presents new opportunities along with new challenges. Balancing financial responsibility with ambitious international events will remain an ongoing task. Technology will also continue changing how people experience the Games. Millions now follow competitions through live streams, social media, online highlights, and digital news coverage. That means every organizational decision, public appearance, and financial announcement receives immediate worldwide attention. Information spreads faster than ever before, making transparency and communication increasingly valuable. The global audience has changed as well. People don't simply watch events anymore, they discuss them, analyze them, compare reports, examine public records, and share opinions across countless online platforms. Every announcement generates conversation, every statistic receives scrutiny, every development becomes part of a much larger public discussion. That reality isn't likely to change.
She was absolutely loving all of the attention, but the problem is no one wanted her there.
Yeah, no one wanted her there. Reports were coming out even before the Games that they did not want her there because usually the attention is taken away from, the veteran.
If anything, future editions will probably receive even greater attention than those before them. For that reason, maintaining public confidence may become just as important as delivering successful competitions. Strong governance, responsible financial management, clear communication, and continued focus on competitors could all play important roles in shaping how the Games evolve over the coming years. Whether someone views the current situation positively or critically, there is one point where many people seem to agree. The veterans themselves should always remain at the center of the story. Their courage deserves the spotlight. Their achievements deserve recognition. Their determination deserves celebration. Everything else should support that mission rather than compete with it. As future Games approach, many people will continue watching closely. Some will focus on athletic performances.
I am truly so grateful to be a part of this with each and every one of you. I've witnessed the most amazing support networks that surround competitors, and I've had the privilege.
Others will pay attention to financial reports, sponsorship announcements, organizational updates, or leadership decisions. All of those conversations will likely continue, and each new edition will bring fresh opportunities to demonstrate how the organization is growing and adapting. Ultimately, the long-term success of the Invictus Games may depend not only on memorable competitions, but also on maintaining the confidence of competitors, supporters, sponsors, governments, volunteers, and the public. Those relationships are built over years, and they grow stronger when communication remains clear and the mission remains consistent. No matter what future headlines may say, it's likely that the most unforgettable moments won't come from boardrooms or financial statements. They'll come from the competition fields, the finish lines, the teammates supporting one another, the families celebrating together, and the athletes proving that resilience is far stronger than adversity.
And out of these Invictus Games because she's turned them into a laughingstock internationally.
A lot of people did not want her to be there.
The public's taxes footed a portion of the bill. According to tax returns on file, the public picked up half the tab for Vancouver.
Those moments are what people remember long after the closing ceremony. Those moments are what continue inspiring audiences across the world. And those moments are why so many people hope the Invictus Games continue moving forward while remaining true to the purpose that first captured global attention. Now, it's your turn to join the conversation. What do you think after hearing everything we've covered today? Do you believe the current funding approach provides the right balance? Or would you like to see even greater transparency in the years ahead? We'd really like to hear your perspective, so let us know in the comments below. Respectful discussions always make these conversations even more interesting. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more thoughtful stories covering major events, public figures, and the discussions shaping today's headlines, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss future uploads, and share this video with friends and family who might find the topic interesting.
This is basically a PR play for Harry because he's about to go to Birmingham right now, drum up some business, because right now he only has $4 million in unnamed corporate sponsors for the 2027 games, and he needs a lot more. He needs about at least 25 million more to match the government's 29 million pounds.
Your support truly helps us continue bringing you well-researched content like this. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. We appreciate every view, every comment, and every conversation. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.